Dear learners, welcome back to your educational channel Learn and Educate, where we were studying of the basics about the goods and service tax. Continuing that series, section 2, clause 97, return. Return ordinarily means the statement of information containing the facts furnished by the taxpayer to the tax authorities administrator at regular intervals of time. The information to be furnished in the return is relates to details of the nature of the activity the business carried on, which form the subject matter of the taxation, the levy of the taxation, the price which sales price, the turnover, the value of the goods services supplies, any exemptions, any deductions made from the value, and the determination of taxable value, and how the discharge of the tax liability for that given period of time. Filing of the return, which is the most important requirement relating to compliance procedure and procedural requirements, which helps the government to ensure that and to ensure and estimate the tax collection for that particular period of time. The correctness and the completeness of the compliances made by the taxpayer is ensured by filing of the returns. The transferring of information to the tax authorities, compliance verification programs to the tax authorities, finalization of tax liabilities, providing necessary inputs to the for the purpose of policy decision and management of audit and other activities. Therefore, under the GST regime, the correct and timely filing of the return is of most importance. Filing of the GST returns helps in determination of tax liability of the return by the person who files the return, by the registered person, and at the same time it also helps a huge bearing on the determination of the tax liability of the other person with whom the tax filer has entered into a business activity, into a transaction. Therefore, return means in the return which has been prescribed or otherwise required to be furnished by or under this act or rules made thereunder. As per Chapter 9 of the Central Goods and Service Tax Act, it prescribes the procedures, the provisions relating to filing of the return, like furnishing details of output supply, furnishing details of inward supplies, furnishing of returns. As per the recipient is the buyer of the goods or services and supplier is the seller of the goods or the services. GSTR1, GSTR2, there are many returns. GSTR1 is to be filed with by the 10th of the next month. GSTR2A to be filed with the details of outward supplies made by the supplier after the 10th of the next month. GSTR2 to be filed by the 15th after the 10th and but before 15th of the next month. GSTR1A relating to modifications and deletions made by the recipient available to the supplier for the acceptance or rejections made between 15th and the 7th to be filed between 15th and the 17th day of the next month. GSTR3 it is to be filed by the 20th day of the next month. It also relates to few of the supplies which has been made by the supplier and few auto generated. Filing of the GSTR1 and auto population of the GSTR2 relates to finalization and filing of GSTR2. Reconciliation of outward and inward supplies which makes the finalization of GSTR3 and thus payment of taxes and submission of GSTR3. Payment of taxes would be ITC available minus the output tax would be the final tax liability to be payable by the supplier. Thus, return means the return which has to be filed every registered person other than the input service distributor or a non-resident taxable person or a person requiring to pay tax under provisions of section 10, that is composite supply, or section 51 or section 52. For every calendar month or any part thereof, is required to furnish in the form and manner which is prescribed as return electronically of inward and outward supplies of goods or services or both, input tax credit which has been available, and the tax payable or tax paid actually paid, and the other particular prescribed on or before the 20th day of the month succeeding the such calendar month or its part thereof. Therefore, monthly returns has to be filed or periodical returns after after a period of time, or quarterly returns are to be filed by the taxpayer as per section 39 furnishing of returns.